Hey y'all, so it is time for me to make another batch of soap. This is the second one, I guess, in the series of me making my new aloe vera soaps. And so just a little refresher, soap is made with a liquid, a strong base, and fats. So that's usually water, lye, and oils and or butters. So currently, well, my old bar soaps, I don't really have many left, were all made with water as the liquid, and then I actually have a line where beer is the liquid. Those are circular soaps. These are all going to be rectangular soaps. Okay. So anyway, now I have decided, after trying that first batch, which really should have been a test batch, but I don't know how to do those, and so I just made a full batch of Amber Romance scented soaps. That was the last video, with aloe vera juice. They were delectable and incredible and delicious, even if you can call something non-edible delicious. However, I started off with just like a few flakes of the soap that was like left over from the molds and everything. I tested those. That lather, not ladder, no one's climbing anywhere. Okay. Lather was delicious. I let it sit for about a week, so the water could evaporate, it could cure. Tried them in the shower. OMG. So anywho, it's a go. All right. So I'm making my next batch of soap. This time is going to be my orange patchouli scented soap. It is a favorite, and I also have an order for it wholesale, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and make it. I think my next one is going to be the Ocean Breezes scented one, because I got an order for that wholesale. So those are going to be my next two, and then I'm going to do some new fragrances, so you want to stick around for that. Because I just feel like the line it needs a little spruce, a little pick me up, because I feel like it's gotten a little stale just with the same old fragrances, and I like to change things up. So anyway, in this video I will be making my orange patchouli scented soap step by step with the lovely aloe vera juice. Alrighty. Okay, so we're gonna get right into this. You see me stirring because I've already added my sugar and sodium lactate, which is really just liquid salt. And so I like to make sure that's fully dissolved, mouth don't start this already, before I add the lye. So here I've already measured out the lye, and now I am adding it to my aloe vera juice, and I want to just fully incorporate that. So I give that a nice hearty, not too vigorously, stir to make sure it's fully incorporated. You always want to make sure that you pour your lye into your liquid, never the other way around. So it never fully gets clear the way water does, because it's not water. Okay. And so when it's not so milky, and when both the oils and the lye water or lye aloe vera juice are in between 200 and 180 degrees, I go ahead and pour in my lye mixture. So at that point, okay, then I go ahead and start to stick blending. I like to stick blend to a light trace. I used to do like trace to a pudding consistency, but it's really hard to get that, I don't know why, at these much higher temperatures, because I used to mix it all at 120 degrees or lower when I did the cold process soap. That's what it's called. Okay, this is Countertop hot process, fluid hot process, both the same thing. So I stick blended it to where I wanted it, and now it's volcanoing already. Look, this first volcano happens really fast, y'all. Like literally, I have turned my back for 5 seconds and it is already volcanoing. Reminds me of a toddler. So anyway, you maybe could have seen it rising to some degree while I sat there and waited. That was my intention, but seeing how it's getting above the, I don't know, is that the lip of the pot? We can call it that. It's probably not the right name, but anyway. So yeah, I get to going with my whisk there. You can use a spatula if you would like. It's just really just personal preference. But I like to use a whisk and stir that down. And here I'm going to start measuring out my colorants. I measure them into, I reserve, can I get to focus? Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, so anyway, I like to reserve some oils from the original recipe, so I don't change it up too much by adding a different type of oil with different properties. And then that little reserved oil that I have left there, or that I'm using, whatever it is that I'm trying to say, get your mouth together. I put the colorants in that and give them a good stir. When I researched several years ago what was the best way to incorporate colorants, this was the method I found, and that's the one that I've been using. No problems, no issues. So I don't like to fix things that aren't broken. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I give those all a nice stir so they're incorporated into the oil and I don't have big, chunks. Here I'm going to actually pour my fragrance oil. Last video I did it all at the end. The fragrance oil, not the colorants. But since I have time and it's not trying to volcano on me, I decided to go ahead and do the fragrance now. And I just gave it a stir because I'm mixing patchouli and orange together. And I just give them a stir so they have a cohesive bond there, and they just mix completely into the soap and evenly. So we're having that, it's wanting to volcano and cook and all that stuff. This is usually the point in the soap where the point in the cook of the soap where I just get impatient and I stir it to completion. Okay, so you can kind of see that was at the applesauce phase a little while ago. That's what soapers call it. I didn't name it that. This is kind of mashed potato phase. That's what they call this. They must have been hungry, okay, when they decided to come up with the names of the different phases, except for the end one, because that one's called Vaseline phase, but nobody's eating that. Don't eat that. Anyway. This is Vaseline phase. It's got that shiny kind of glossy look to it at the end. That's how you know it's done. I like Done soap, and it's interesting to me. I don't know if I'm just a weirdo, but Done soap has a specific smell to me, and that's another way that I know that it's done, but I can't describe the smell, so that's not helpful. I'm really sorry. Okay, so I put the lid on while I went to go get my Greek full fat yogurt, and the yogurt is also used to help the soap stay fluid during the process where you're adding your colors and layering them into the molds. So actually the sugar, the sodium lactate, and the yogurt are all used to help the soap stay fluid. And the other, the yogurt is of course just nice in general, and then of course the sugar helps with lather, and the sodium lactate helps give a firmer, harder bar. So they all have other things that they I couldn't think of the word. I can never think of words. It's so embarrassing. Okay, attributes or whatever you want to call it that they give to the soap, as well as helping it to stay fluid. Now you'll see here I was getting ready to separate my soap out to do colorants when I realized that I had almost ruined this batch by forgetting the fragrance. That's what I did. So in that top right corner you see me vigorously stirring that in and not ruining my batch of soap, because oh my god, my nerves, ooh, they was bad. Okay, so I've gotten that stirred in and saved the day. Sure did. And now I'm gonna go ahead and separate my soap out into my different containers. I have on my sheet listed the weight for each one, so I know how much I want to pour into each container. Okay, and so that I can have a certain amount of color. I wanted a lot of yellow, and so one of the larger containers had enough soap to mix in a lot of yellow colorant. And this soap, since it's fluid hot process, it's looser than the original hot process, which is basically paste, but it's not as loose as cold process soap. So you still need to stir rather vigorously, maybe aggressively even, to make sure your colorant is fully incorporated into the soap and you don't have weird looking spots that don't have color. That's not a good look. I don't recommend. I've never had that because I'm paranoid and I've always maybe obsessively stirred in my color. So I'm sorry, in goes the white. I use titanium dioxide for white because of everything that I've tried gives the absolute best white. Of course, a lot of the micas have that in it as an ingredient anyway. But looking for the best white, that's what I found creates it. But it has this grainy, interesting consistency that I absolutely hate. But I still continue to use it because it just makes the best white. So anywho, waxed on enough about that just for no reason. So doing these last two containers, just pouring the last of this soap into these so I can get to the fun parts of coloring. Okay. Because that's one of my favorite parts. I feel like every time I go into another section, I say it's one of my favorite parts. Apparently soap making is just my favorite part. Okay. Usually at the end once I get all of my colorants to their containers, I scrape the mess out of that bowl to get every bit, or pot, whatever it is, to get every bit of soap out. Waste not, want not, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so going in with these last two colorants, the black, I use activated charcoal for black, really just because I think it makes a really deep, rich color. Sometimes I've added a little bit of glitter if I wanted that kind of mica sparkle, but the micas don't really sparkle that much in this kind of soap made with lye. If you ask me, I could be wrong. So here I'm just kind of scraping at the sides of my pitcher because I was a little messy, I think, when if the name Messy Soaper hadn't already been taken, that would be me. It would be so fitting, but it's not me, so I won't steal your name anyway. I was just scraping the sides of the container to get all of the soap, incorporated, and it kind of dries out if you leave little small pieces at the top. I don't know why, but anyway, stirring in this last colorant here so that I can get ready to go ahead and start layering these colors in. So as one of my, it's a fun part, but it's also pretty time consuming, believe it or not, because I get a little anal retentive about it. So anyway, here are my molds. They're silicone molds, and they're in those holders so that they don't bow out during the pour, because that would not be a good look. So I'm just going to take my yellow and start with it. Don't ask me why I started with it. That's just what I did, probably because it was one of the pictures that had the most soap in it. The yellow and the white had the most soap, so I like to take them and just kind of slam them down on the table, which is kind of noisy, admittedly. But I do that usually after every what am I trying to say? Every time I add a color, okay, that's what I mean there. Every time I add a color, I typically take it and just kind of slam it down on the table, and that's just to make sure there's like no air pockets or any of that. Like the soap is sitting solidly in the mold. And all the soap is like fully, like touching and melding together. I'm trying to explain that right. Am I just saying words that don't make sense? Hopefully not. Anyway, I just like to make sure that's done so that it's all sitting right. The colors combined together in the soap. What? It's early. I need to stop doing these so early. In the mold. And there are no like air pockets or any of that. So once I've gone through and gotten all the colors added, I like to go ahead and swirl the top. Only you'll notice that I've really just done that ahead of time. It was not time to actually swirl the top. It's me leaving my bloopers in. This is what it is. I actually forgot to do the hanger swirl. So after I thought about that, myself a pop on the forehead, I moved that one over that mold. That's what that one is, and just went in with my hanger and did a couple of figure eights. I did it with the other two, as you can kind of see on the top that that's already done. And now it's time to swirl the tops. I like to swirl the tops so that they look like something, because other than that, they just kind of look like a strange merging of random color, and I'm just not a fan. I like the swirly tops the best. And of course I have to sprinkle some fairy dust on the top, because that's just my way, and I don't know any other. I mean, I do, but, I won't do any other. There we go. As I tell my BFF all the time, you can't help it. You just won't. That's me. Okay. So that's what they look like. Very pretty. They went in the freezer for about 5 or 6 hours because I just feel like that's the process I've been using based off of some instruction I found on the internet, and it's been working. But it just makes the soap just okay, sorry. The soap can just get done. And I can make sure that it gets nice and solid while it's in there, and I don't cut it while it's frozen anymore, because see what happened was I broke my cutter that way. So I wait until it thaws out. Also, it gives for a better video with the cut, because when it's frozen the colors get muted, pastel like, not very fun. Okay, so here this is me cutting the first bar, and if you notice, I don't bring the cutter back up. I love the way these all turned out, by the way. I don't bring the arm or whatever of the cutter back up while the soap is down there. I pull the soap that I just cut and the rest of the loaf apart, and then I take the soap bar off that I just cut, and then after that I wipe off the thread. It's not a thread, it's like a metal thread, kind of wire. That's what it is. Okay, a wire. I wipe that off before I go to cut another piece, because I don't want the debris or whatever you want to call it from the previous soap to drag all the way down through the loaf. That would be unattractive. I'm just showing you some of the bars that I really liked and I really liked a lot of them, obviously, because I just went on and on forever. But this one turned out to be just so pretty. I was so happy with the way these soaps came out, that on top of that being just one of the most popular ones, I was very happy that they came out looking very nicely. I think these color combinations went very well together. So those are like the little shavings that were left over after I cut the soap and demolded whatever, took it out the mold. We just can't. Okay, so then I decided, I did this in the last video too, but I don't do it in every video, that I was just going to do a lather test based on these tiny little crumbs, not even the size of like a quarter of a bar of soap, and less than 24 hours later at that. And if you don't know about handmade soap, it actually gets much better as it ages. So I think this is a pretty good lather, a very good lather actually. A wonderful, nice, dense, lotion-like lather from some tiny amounts of soap shavings from less than 24 hours later. So I'm in love with this soap. I'm in love with all these soaps, and I'm just really thrilled with how it went. So this is just me setting them up. If you like what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. See you next time.